Welcome, everyone, to Real Talk with My Homies. I'm your host, Jake Wardrip, licensed real estate agent with Homepage Realty. Today, I'm joined by my cousin and local entrepreneur, Kevin Lococo.
Yes, sir.
Kevin wears several hats, but I'm going to let him get into that a little bit later as we start talking. And Kevin, how we doing?
Pretty good. Excited to be here with you.
I know, man. This was a short notice. We had a cancellation, so went to the well, pulled out a relief pitcher, and I think the new guy's going to get Wally pipped.
Well, the right arm's not what it used to be. I'd say so. Hopefully, I don't actually have to throw any baseballs.
No,
it might be embarrassing.
No, I ain't breaking any glass anytime soon either. And I actually was a pitcher. So we are going to get things knocked off right off the bat with instead of doing the normal things that annoy Jake. You'd love that segment. we've been on a good ride with things that annoy me more than they should. We're going to go back to an old faithful, which is conspiracy theory.
Okay.
All right. Our new conspiracy, it just came across my desk, actually. It was more of my phone, but you know what I mean. What if I told you that... Let me start that over. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game. You've heard this story. Wilt Chamberlain scored. What if I told you that there is zero evidence of this happening? The scorekeeper of that game was a high school kid. He shot 28 of 32 from the free throw line that game, but as a career, he shot 51% as a free throw shooter. The opposing team years later also had conflicting stories about the game and maybe or maybe not reached 100 points. It's also exactly 100. Seems a little, not 101, not 99, exactly 100 on the dot. Little fishy.
A little bit.
What do we think? Do you think he scored?
Is this one of those like Mandela effect things where people remember it differently than it actually was?
No, I mean, if you remember, there's a famous photo. He holds up the picture of 100.
Okay, so it's legitimately people are saying that he did.
Oh,
this
yeah.
isn't one of those like made up like.
Yeah, no, this is it's not one of those. There's a whatever the thing from the Fruit of the Loom.
Right. Where one's got the cornucopia on it.
Yeah, one doesn't. Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah. I would say it's probably amazing either way. Now, did he actually hit 100? Maybe he did, maybe didn't. But like 97 would still be incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's. I would venture to say he did not.
I definitely think he scored he obviously scored a lot. He didn't just drop 32 and they're like, let's just mark him down for 100.
We're just going to round this up to 100.
Yeah, just an even Benjamin.
I would say the likelihood of him scoring 100, exactly 100 seems pretty unlikely. I think more likely he was close and people started saying things like, oh, he almost scored 100. And then it just over time turned into.
Yeah. I mean, it is a widely accepted statistic in the NBA that he is the highest scoring single game record holder. I think Kobe's second with 81, maybe. I don't remember who's in second.
Well, I thought Wilt Chamberlain was an incredible player.
Oh, absolutely.
But Jordan and Kobe and those kind of guys, I mean, they were lighting it up.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me that he just happened to stomp those records and they can't be touched?
Yeah, I found it funny. I think it was LeBron. I think he was on Pat McAfee's show, and he was talking about how if Giannis played back in the 60s or the 70s, he'd drop like 250 points.
It was a different game.
It was, and it's not a slight to the guys that played back then. I mean, they were good in their own regard. I mean, paved the way for where we are, but they smoked cigarettes during timeouts. They didn't work out or exercise. Like it was, and hell, for a lot of the time, African Americans weren't even allowed to play.
Right.
So like you got to break the color barrier at some point. And Giannis is just he's a Greek freak in 2025. Right. He'd be an alien.
Well, it was a way more aggressive game prior to probably 1990, maybe 1985. Yeah. I mean. Now, every time you touch another player, it seems like you're hearing a whistle. In the old days, I mean, it was almost like MMA.
They putting a hip in you to block you out, and now it's just kind of just stick an arm in your chest.
Incredibly violent in the old days. A lot of sports are like that. I mean, football. They had they showed the Monday Night Football first commercial. It was like 1985, 88, whatever it was. And there was like 5 hits, like, welcome to Monday Night Football. And every hit that you saw is now considered illegal.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it was just completely egregiously violent. And you're like, oh, well, it's not like that anymore.
No, now it's like if the guy just gets hit in the chest, it's like, all right,
well, you can't
let's go look at it. Did he hit him in the face instead?
That's right. I don't think you can touch a quarterback on 3rd or 4th down now, I think is the rule or something like that. You can't touch the quarterback. And
I get it from a money-making scheme. Like, you want your best players to play, but you also, there's a certain sort of respect and integrity of the game as well that needs to be followed, and rules for thee, not for me, just seems to be applying in some situations there.
Well, yeah. And the kids that are playing today are bigger and faster and stronger than they've ever been. And so maybe the potential for violence is much higher than it once was. And
oh, yeah. All right, let's move on. Cardinal Moving, a local moving company since 2014 with over 3,000 Google reviews. They specialize in making your move as smooth and stress-free as possible. Their team of clean-cut and professional movers is dedicated to handling your belongings with the utmost care and efficiency. Visit their website at cardinalmoving.com or give them a call at 502-599-2661 to get a free quote and tell them I sent you. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah.
What do you currently do?
Well, I have 2 jobs.
Yes.
I'm the vice president of a company called Palmer Snyder. We manufacture event furniture, tables, chairs, dance floors, things of that nature. And so I manage a team of reps nationwide, and it's exciting because it's, I get to meet people from all over the country and in Canada, sometimes the Caribbean. So that's sort of my, I don't know if you want to call it my main job. It's my
9 to 5,
often called my real job.
Yeah, I know that terminology very well.
That's the real job. That's what actually pays most of the bills. And then I also own a company, Opening Day Apparel, which is pretty neat. It's an apparel company. We do jerseys, T-shirts, things of that nature for sports teams, and that's taken off quite well in the last weeks. It was one of those things we created during the COVID nightmare that everybody was scrambling, and of course there were no events going on in the world because nobody could gather, so nobody was buying tables and chairs, which made the primary a problem. So we took to that. Plus I had 2 sons going to high school and paying for high school tuition. It was like, well, we're going to need to do something.
We got a lot going out. Need a little bit more coming in.
We're going to need more coming in. So it was great.
So I know pretty much the story of how you started it and acquired it. What was that? Tell the audience a little bit more about how you acquired Opening Day and how that process went through.
Well, it was kind of a strange story. So I had a friend in Lexington. His mother owned a small company that did, decorations on items, and she wanted me to come work for her and sell, coffee mugs and pens and those types of
promo items.
Promo items, exactly. And I did it for about a week. And then I was like, this is not right. But she actually introduced me to somebody that was doing shirts and jerseys, and Allison Icehold is her name. And she was awesome. And I was like, maybe I should just start the company and just do this. And I found for me that focus helped, because it was like, hey, I can't sell 5,000 different promotional items, but if I could dial into about 10 regular items, then I could sell that much more effectively. And so I left that company and started Opening Day on my own. And ironically, I never actually put a dime of my own money into that, because I closed a deal before the company even opened. So
you're able to take the profits from that.
St. Michael's football program bought jerseys from me. That was my very first order. And so when they wrote me out the check, I actually opened up my business checking account with that money.
Yeah.
And so it actually worked out really well.
What's maybe the coolest job you've gotten to do with it so far?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thanks.
Wow, what's the coolest? I did some reversible jerseys for a team in Ohio for rugby, and it was all the teams today do, the dry fit, really breathable stuff. Well, these guys didn't want that. They wanted the old school cotton collared shirts with the stitch numbers and embroidery. It took forever to like.
And it was reversible?
It was.
It was a reversible polo?
It was double thick. Yeah. So when you flipped it inside out, the other side had the opposite colors on it. And it must have weighed, God, I bet it weighed 4 pounds, 5 pounds. I mean, it was like running around with a rucksack on, but they wanted it, and it's how they wanted to do it. And they wanted to look old school. And I was like,
and they were happy with the finished product?
They were super happy with it, and it turned out really nice. And so I was excited about it, to be a part of it. That was just sort of unique, different than what anybody else had been doing.
You get, do you get a lot of rugby? Because that was kind of your background.
Right. I do a lot of the work for the University of Kentucky, and then some of the additional the additional teams that they're associated with, I get some of their stuff. In fact, I met earlier this year with the director of youth rugby for USA Rugby.
Okay.
And they're doing a series of recruiting tournaments and things in different states. And if I can get that deal finalized and locked in, I mean, it would be probably, 6,000-7,000 shirts at a time.
Oh, jeez.
We like those kind of deals.
That's yeah. Anytime the quantity involves a comma, that's got to be a good thing.
100%, yeah, for sure.
Where did you when you first started the company? Where'd you see it going versus maybe where it is now? Are you going down the path you expected, or did you see it going in a different direction and you just kind of pivot because the audience is the audience and the customers are the ones paying, so let's kind of give them what they want?
Well, there's a lot of that. It's a lot of you just go with how the flow is rolling. I don't want to try to go against the tide. Well, originally it started out as an idea to we just wanted to help pay for school.
Yeah.
Get us out of the COVID hump. We sort of assumed it wasn't going to last forever with COVID, and, this would get us through all that. And then I thought in a couple of years, I'd probably grow it up and just sell the company and be done with it. And then it just kind of got bigger and bigger. It was growing organically. I couldn't even reach out to new customers. So many people were reaching out to me after, there was a company called Shavley Sporting Goods and they closed down, and it left a big vacancy in Kentucky, and really Louisville in particular. And so all those people, as they were reaching out to me, I didn't even have to make outbound calls. And so it got bigger and bigger over time. And then eventually I think I just decided we'll just stay with it. We'll just keep pushing it, and it's just been going well.
I think too, you got to remember, you still have a 9-to-5.
Indeed.
Like, you still have a day job that requires a lot of time, effort, energy, and attention. So
indeed,
being able to grow, can't grow too. I mean, you really could grow too fast, and then next thing you know, it's a watered down product for everybody.
Right.
And nobody wins.
Nobody wins in that scenario. You're exactly right. It's a problem, and it's not one that I expected to grow too fast. I thought it would just be, a few dollars here and a few dollars there. Well, once you get a couple dozen orders going at once, and there's people don't understand that don't own their own company. There's a lot of accounting and things in the background that, that's not actually making you any money.
No,
you're not doing what it is that you do. You're doing, this background paperwork. And so it kind of gets tedious once you get dozens of orders going at once. And, last year, I think we did maybe 250 orders. I think we did last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's one every 1.5 days.
Right. And of course, each order takes a couple of weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. And so, you got a lot of, flow going. Gets complicated if you're not careful.
Yeah, I remember back when I had the Bounce House company. Shout out Nick, he worked for me. Your son worked for me as well. We started it literally as just going to grab one unit, rent it out once or twice a week, make $200. It's easy money. And then people started wanting a slide with a water slide. It's like, okay, well, let's add a water slide. And then that was going out every single weekend. And then people were asking for an obstacle course. All right, well, let's go buy an obstacle course now. And then that was going out every single weekend. And then just the growth continued to happen. We got a bigger slide, and then we got, 2 more slides. And it was I think we ended up having 7 or 8 units when it was all said and done. And they were going out every single Saturday and every single Sunday. So, we're waking up 6 a.m. on Sunday, dropping them off, getting back home around maybe 11 or 12. The guys would go home, do their own thing for a few hours, and then come back again, and we go pick up the units that Saturday night, rinse and repeat on Sunday. And it was like, I don't have a mentality that I can slow down. I don't, like, I can't just plateau. Like, I got to just keep going and keep going. But it was starting to affect the real estate, which was the real moneymaker in my life. And on a more personal level, my wife and me were talking, and I was looking at photos, and there weren't a lot of photos of me and my family together. And it was I realized at that moment, like, I'm not around for some of these things, and I don't want to not be around for these things. So that's what prompted the sale of the company. And thankfully my father-in-law got remarried, and one of her sons purchased it out in Grayson County. And that was great because, I mean, just human nature. If I was to sell it to somebody in like Mount Washington where I live and they took it to the moon, I'd be like, oh, man, that could have been me. Like, I'd wish them nothing but the best, obviously, but that 5% of me would be super jealous that that could have been me. Right. Now that he's doing it, he's in Grayson County. I never took a single unit to Grayson County, nor would I ever market these units out there. I talk to him, every other week. Hopefully he takes to the moon, and there's zero jealousy.
Well, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. It's not the same customers. He's doing it his way. He's continuing to grow it as well. I think he's added probably some more stuff. He's added a couple more units I know of, added a foam machine. Like, he's taken it off, and I think he's trying to put himself in a situation where that is the main source of his revenue, that he's making that money himself, and he can kind of get out of the 9 to 5.
I think every company comes to that moment. I think they do. I think, you started off in your garage. Yeah. I basically was working out of a closet with Opening Day Apparel. That was it. Little closet, little stack, and a laptop. And at some point, I think all companies get to this moment where you're like, okay, either we're going to go and we're going to take this thing and this is going to be my primary, or you have to sell it off, or, there's this, if you linger too long, it's like a shark swimming, you have to keep swimming. And if you're not growing, you're dying, as a company. And that's,
So we ended up getting rid of it. Thankfully. So, I'm glad that I did. It was a nice little influx of cash because of the sale, but also it was weird that first Saturday where I didn't have anything to do. That was kind of weird. And I woke up, got some coffee, relaxed, and I was like, this is...
What is that like? It's been a long...
Well, I don't get to do it anymore, but...
it's been so long since I've been able to just, it's Saturday,
I was very intentional the first weekend and made sure I did little to nothing. All right, here's an ironic situation. You're a St. X grad. I'm a St. X grad.
Yep, 99, yep.
I was 06. But both of your sons are Trinity guys.
Yeah.
They're the second and third children to go to Trinity after our St. X lineage.
Correct.
What happened, man?
Well, I'll be honest. The day they told me that they wanted to go to Trinity, they were scraping St. X stickers off of their walls. Okay. And taking down posters. Like, their rooms were full of Tiger gear. And in fact, they have closet full of shirts and jackets and sweatpants and hats. And I do too. And it just,
they should probably get rid of their stuff, by the way.
I'm sure it's been boxed up and thrown somewhere. But it was, I will say this, I'm St. X for life. That's my school, and go Tigers. But Trinity did impress me during when they were going on their tours and they were doing their shadow days. They had a very good message. The guy who's actually getting ready to be president, James Torra, he's a stud. I mean, this is a guy that really understands doing the right thing. He really understands leadership. He's going to be a terrific, I think he's going to be the president or the principal. I don't know. He's going to one of those. Yeah, one of the top roles. And he's just awesome. Well, he is, I would say, 90% of the reason both of my sons decided to go there, because he wasn't pushy. He wasn't, trying to make St. X look bad. He's like, hey man, we'd love you to be here. If you come here, awesome. If not, we'll love you anyway. And that kind of mentality really struck a chord with both of my sons. So, I got my oldest son, Nick, is going to be graduating here soon. And, it bummed me out at first that
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Trinity. But I'll tell you, I've when you see him with his friends and you see him and all the success he's had academically, athletically, it's hard to even, be bummed anymore. You're like, he had such a great career and such a great opportunity. So, and my younger son, Matthew, is a sophomore. He's having similar success. So I'm sure in 2 years he'll be in the same position.
And I think, we can be mature about this and say Saints and Trinity are both pumping out phenomenal human beings at the end of the day.
Indeed.
Is one better than the other? Maybe in certain aspects, in certain areas. But at the end of the day, again, painting with a broad brush, they're putting out great human beings at the end of the day. They're taking boys, turning them into men, rinse and repeat every May when they graduate.
It's about character.
Yep.
For me. And my family, we've been, cradle Catholic, and going to a Christian school means something to my sons. And to have a school that is faith-based, but also is building men of character the way they are, it was a no-brainer. It was great for them.
Yeah. We talked about your older one, Nick, we'll talk about him even more here in a second, but you want to give some props to Matt and everything that he's accomplishing right now that you just told me prior to going on.
Oh, yeah.
On microphone.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Matthew is, one of the things that's great about, the second son, the first son is always, we were rookie parents for Nick. This is our first go around.
Yep.
With Matthew, we have a little better understanding of what's going on, yet it's amazing how much you feel like you still don't know what's going on. Matthew has done incredible stuff. He is, he's a 5.1 GPA, I think, right now, and he's taking AP classes as a sophomore.
5.1?
Yeah.
It goes higher than 5 now?
Yeah. So when you take the class that's that difficult, it's not even on the regular scale.
It's not even on the Richter scale anymore. It's off the Richter scale.
It's ridiculous, right? It's just, whenever you see your GPA start with a 5, the kid's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
His GPA is incredible. He's principal's list, president's list, all that good stuff. He had a great year in football this year. He got to play up with the varsity as a sophomore, which, of course, anybody that's been around Sanders Trinity, that's obviously awesome. He won they called him the Scout Team Demon, and that's because every week he would play with the scout team at practice, and so he'd have a JV game, but he'd be getting up by the first team varsity all week, and he was the leader that kind of brought the team together and the sophomores and said, "Hey, we can make this team great." And, they gave him great shout outs during the the award ceremony about, one of the reasons Trinity was able to win state this year, back-to-back wins for them, was because of how well the scout team was preparing them every week to get ready to play. And so, he got a lot of shout outs. And then, he's also on a social level, he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
And he's self-taught, which is just...
Yeah, no chance I could learn how to play.
Mind-boggling to me. I own a guitar, and
I don't even own a guitar.
It looks it's rusty. It's not good. It's just terrible. But he can play. He makes it sound like he's been playing, for 40 years. And yet, he actually played 2 open mic nights recently. He played at Bear Nose, and then he played in Mount Washington at the Gallant Fox. And these are bars. He's 16 years old. He technically can't. He's barely even allowed to be in there.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, you can come in and play, and so it's exciting times for him. He's really.
I think that's cool because that's how a lot of people get started. You hear a lot of guys that made it. They're all the way at the top, and they're saying, yeah, I started out playing in bars when I was 15, 16 years old. So it's similar startup for him.
Well, you gotta love it when you get invited. There's the guy, and I got to tell you, I don't remember his name, but there was the gentleman that was watching him play, and immediately after the set, he came over like, "Hey, you need to come play at the Gallant Vox tomorrow because it's going to be great." And so he's already getting invitations to come play at places, and
that's pretty sweet.
Could turn out to be something really nice for him, and maybe he can make a little scratch off that one day, which would be great.
Yeah, once he starts to get his name out there, hey, yeah, I'd love to come play $100.
Right.
Most of the time, people don't care. They'll pay for the live music.
100%.
So,
$100 might as well be $1 million for a kid that's 16.
Oh yes, goodness.
Yeah.
All right, back to your oldest. He's going off to play college.
He is.
What was that recruiting process like as a father?
Oh, from my perspective.
Yeah, from your perspective.
Yeah, it's I would say complicated would be the word I would use to describe it. Very complicated, different, 100% different than what it was when I was in college.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. Like, what's the difference between when you played?
Right.
You know, I know you got recruited, but you also had a lot of other guys that were very highly recruited that played with you.
Right.
I'm sure Nick has some guys that were highly recruited as well, and in addition to him. So, like, what's that process?
Well, it's complicated because, you know, in the old days, there was coaches would come to schools all the time. You know, so when I was in high school, we would see a coach at every single practice, it seemed. You know, and it was, some of them were local, you know, your UK, UVL type of schools, or even the smaller schools like Kentucky Wesleyan. You know, those kind of places would come and visit, right? And that was routine. And then you'd get some of the big guys would come, the Tennessees and like Arkansas and SEC, big programs, you know, but they came to the school, you know, and in the old days, we made VHS tapes. You know, literally, I probably still have one at the house somewhere. You know, your highlights are on a VHS tape, and you'd have to put it in a package and
FedEx it out.
Literally mail it to the coach,
and hope that it made there, and he opened it and had a VCR that wanted to work it.
Right, and hopefully all the string didn't come out of it in the meantime. You know, it was a different time. But now it's such a broad spectrum of information. You know, everything goes through Twitter or X. I guess it's X now, whatever. Yeah, but it's. Everybody does that way. That's how you communicate with coaches. That's how you send game film. That is all the barbecue right there. It's got to go through that. In fact, all of the coaches that we met with either came from X that way or from certain camps that he was going to visit.
Yeah.
And it was complicated, but it was really exciting. You know, when you get that call from a coach, you know, the whole house lights up.
Yeah. Now, so when you played, obviously the coaches were calling your dad, probably on a house phone.
Correct.
Now Nick's got a cell. Are they calling Nick directly, or do they still go through the parent? Because my son is 2. He'll be 3. Like, he ain't getting recruited anytime soon.
Right.
He will, because he's a monster of a human being.
Indeed.
But knowing my luck, he'll go play piano. Which, if he does, Knox, I love you. Do your thing, man. But he's gonna be a monster, and he's gonna be playing piano. Not a lot of recruiting going on with piano players, but. What's that like? Are they still calling you to try and talk to your son? Are they trying to woo you? So
they called. I don't think I got any calls directly to me personally. Now, I was helping Nick. You know, he's at school during the day.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and they're not supposed to be on their phones, and I tell him to stay off his dang.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
While you're there, you know. But so I was kind of manning his X account in the background that way, because I was logged in on my phone under his name, so I could see when coaches were reaching out and this. But they all called him directly, and most of the time through X, they would schedule that. They say, hey, you know, I'd like to call you tonight between 6 and 7 if you're going to be available. And it was really exciting, you know, for us. You know, of course, we put it on speakerphone. We're all sitting there as a family. You know, I mean, he's talking to Nick, but we're all listening.
Yeah,
because you know, I mean, he's at the time he was not even, just barely 17. So it's.
So he's going playing the SLIAC.
He is.
And Wash U at the SLIAC, which is I've told you, but I'll tell everyone, the SLIAC is the conference that I played in. Spalding is in the SLIAC for baseball. I don't think the SLIAC is the Wash U football conference.
That's right.
Because I don't think really, outside of maybe one more, I don't think any of the other schools in the SLIAC have football at their school. Spalding absolutely doesn't. Brian, if you're watching this though, can we get that rolling, please? Let's get a football program.
Maybe even flash football is a big thing now too.
Is it? But is it fun to watch?
It's kind of exciting.
Is it? I haven't watched a second of it, so I'm doing this completely ignorant.
Well, they're all fast. It's no linemen, so it's all fast. It's like 7-on-7. It's an exciting thing to watch.
Yeah,
it's fast. It's quick. It's like watching 7-on-7 rugby. It's constantly action. There's barely any stoppage. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is enough people here locally. You could put together a good team. I think that's probably, you know, Bellarmine obviously being the D1 now, they've got a lot bigger reach and a lot more resources than a Division III Spalding would have. But you take the backup quarterback at St. X or Trinity that was originally just going to go to UK and have a good time and give him a chance to play, or, you know, take some guys from Mayle and Manual and Eastern and Ballard and go so on and so forth.
100%.
You should be able to put together a halfway decent team of guys that would have just gone and joined a frat at UK.
Right.
Instead, they're playing college football.
Right. And it grows, I mean, Kentucky rugby was just a club sport, forever, and now they're two-time national champion.
Yeah.
And they've got scholarships and the team travels. And I mean, it's a big deal now. And it happened in maybe 10 years, went from nothing to something incredible. One of these programs at Spalding or similar schools, they get into that. It could be a great opportunity for kids.
Did Nick have any NIL stuff? Did that conversation come up during his recruiting process?
It did. Yes and no. Right. So yes, it did. We asked about that. We talked with them, and so WashU doesn't sponsor any of the NIL stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are alumni that do that, but I think it's sort of unregulated, if that's that's the word you want to use.
Yeah, as someone who actually owns and runs a collective, it is very wild west, which again, I think that's kind of the best way to do it. When you start putting the guardrails up, then we just start falling back into the old system that we had, which everybody hated.
Right.
I think at some point it's definitely going to change. The rev share stuff is coming out. That's going to benefit D1 programs. It's not going to benefit really any D2, D3. It's all going to be your football and basketball rev share stuff. That's, painting 1,000-foot view stuff. That's really what's going to benefit, because those programs, basketball and football for 90% of D1 funds the entire athletic department.
Correct.
Most of the other sports, the occasional women's basketball team, if they're good enough, your LSU's, probably U of L, their women's basketball program makes enough money to fund itself. But I mean, even the best baseball schools are not making enough money to satisfy themselves. Just the travel alone, you got 45 guys. LSU, has 9,000 people at a game. Still 45 guys, you got to fly somewhere. That's not cheap.
Right.
That adds up very fast, and you got to feed them. And then, so it doesn't matter how many partnerships you have. At some point, you got to pay.
Right.
But yeah, as far as NIL, did they have much of a say? Like, it was all just kind of wild westy, or I'm assuming there's no collective at WashU.
Not that we've been connected with yet.
I think you would have connected with them by now.
Well, so I think they focus heavily on the existing players, and since we're incoming freshmen, right? So because we haven't really got in, we haven't been to a practice yet. We don't even have to check in until August 8th. I think.
Yeah,
is the first day. So, I think we're going to hear more about that as we get into it. Because these alumni from WashU, of course, it's a big medical school. I mean, these guys that played football there are doctors and lawyers and engineers. I mean, they're big time people, so they want to see the program do well. So I feel like those kind of opportunities are going to come down the line.
Well, I think that you brought up a good point with focusing NIL on existing players is you get a much more the difference between any athlete from the age of 17 and a half, 18 to 19 is ridiculous. I mean, you're talking about a lot of them still have kind of boy figures, and then they turn into a grown ass man here in about a year and a half. So yeah, every college is taking a gamble on a high school kid. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-star or not. Right. They're taking a gamble to some degree.
Well, there's so many variations for a kid. And, we had these conversations with Nick a lot. It's, how's he going to react being further away from home? There's a difference if he played for U of L or he plays for WashU or if he played for Texas. I mean, these are, how's a kid going to react? You could be the best linebacker on earth, and if you don't want to be 16 hours away from your family, then, you lost it. I mean, you can't be that guy and then be unhappy at the same time, So, and then, who knows what kids are going to, break out of the shell and go into a great direction, or which one's going to break out and go in a bad direction. So incoming freshmen, it's a real roll of the dice. I think any college coach would say that. It's you just don't know what you're going to get. I mean,
yeah, you see a lot of these schools are back. They're recruiting. Just pick a number. Most of the time you're getting in 25 freshmen.
Right.
On like a Division I program. Well, now you see them maybe taking 17 or 18, but then they're backfilling with more portal guys than what they originally had, because those guys are more established. They've got college film to look at where, Nick running over some Nick tackling some 5'5" guy from BFE out in the sticks. Like,
Right.
I mean, hell, you and I could tackle that guy. But, now there's film of another linebacker out there tackling a guy from New Mexico State. It's like, okay, this is a fully legitimately sized person that is comparable to what we're going up against. And the film is just more prevalent. So I think you see a big shift of, kind of the bottom guys that were kind of on the fence about wanting to play or maybe playing. They're not going to get to play. There's no spots for them because that portal is filling those voids.
Well, let me tell you something else that we learned as part of the process. There is such a range of player.
Mm-hmm.
Think about, because my son plays linebacker. If you just think about linebackers, there's this little subcircle of linebackers that are what they call the power four guys.
Yeah.
Right? These are going to be your starting linebackers at Notre Dame and Ohio State and Kentucky and Florida, these kind of schools, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are elite. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible athletes. They're 6'3", 6'4". They run like a deer. They're 230, 240 pounds. They've got their own kind of subcategory. But the categories drop down as you go through the rest of the D1 schools into D2, and then you got these D3 schools, which are a lot of academic schools.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got these NAIA schools, which I always thought that NAIA was like the smallest category. Like, these is where people go that are not very good, right? But that's not the case.
No, not at all.
No, these guys are just going to these programs because either their school's offering something particular that they want, or they're using it as a stepping stone to get to a different program. Well, I'll tell you this, based on the schools we saw, if you are a high school linebacker and you want to play in college, if you've got 2 feet that are on the right side and you can if you even understand the game at all, you can play in college, because there's so many small teams that can't even fill a roster.
Yeah.
So if you just want to play, you want to go, you want to be a part of it, you can go. Now, not anybody gets to go play at Alabama, right? So that's obviously a big line. But if you want to play, there is a place for these guys. Some of the kids from my son's class, they could have gone to colleges and they chose not to, which is fine. Some people, hey, you play 4 years of high school ball, it'll put some tear and wear on you.
Oh, yeah.
But, some of the guys that I thought there was no way they'd play at the next level are getting to go to smaller schools because, hey, they'll bring a kid on that again, has feet on the right side, and he can walk and talk and chew gum. And, some of these guys will get in just because their grades are good.
Yeah.
Because they want to have a kid on the team that's going to elevate the GPA.
There's a coach or two that may or may not have a financial incentive on their compensation sheet for cumulative GPA.
Exactly. It's a real thing. We were talking with my younger son was talking with MIT, which I don't think he's going to go that route. But we were on the Zoom call with the coaches, and they said their average ACT score was like 35.
Oh, the average.
On the phone, there's that.
It only goes up to 36.
It's like, holy cow. Like the coach said they had 77 players on their roster. And that's really small for the collegiate level. And he said they would have more, but only 77 people that they recruited could get into the school. So if you can get in, if you go to the MIT program in administration, you can get accepted to the school and you say, hey, I'd like to play football. I don't think they're cutting people. Like, it's just, you can be on the roster because they can't even fill it out to get enough people.
Jeez.
It's a different world.
Oh, all right. We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
We hit the bell.
Ding.
All right. Yep. Ding. All right. I'm excited to share my partnership with Senior Family Solutions and their Easy Equity Loan Program, a game changer for sellers looking to maximize their home's value. Their loan allows sellers to tap into their equity with no upfront cost, covering everything from contractor coordination to invoices, all paid at closing. Whether you're downsizing, upgrading, or simply preparing your house for top dollar, this program makes renovations seamless and stress-free. If you're ready to take the advantage of this opportunity, give me a call or visit seniorfamilysolutions.com to get started. With that said, the Senior Family Solutions and their Easy Equity Loan Program question is, what is your biggest failure?
Wow.
That question was asked on our last episode for our next guest. She had no idea who you were. That was her question to you.
I was like,
Yeah.
she just that's what's my big failure. I'm like, that's not.
She wanted-
cool.
she-
She kind of threw me under the bus. Like, this guy's a real failure. Like, what do you think is
No,
biggest?
that's part of the fun is nobody knows who the next guest is.
Nobody knows who the next guest is,
Yeah.
right? Biggest failure. I would say probably not going to the military when I should have.
Yeah.
After high school. I was a perfectly capable person that should have joined and should have been a part of what was going on in the world. Of course, I graduated in 99 and all the stuff that happened every
2 years,
and all that. And I probably should have been in the military during that. I was perfect for it because I wasn't overly smart, coming out of high school. And I was in lots of people go to college for 7 years.
Yeah, Van Wilder.
It was getting close to that sort of caliber, so I probably should go. So that was probably my biggest fail as a person. I should have done that, and even if I didn't stick with it in terms of being a career military guy, I would have been happy to, support my country and be a veteran. It would be better. But hey, you don't hit all the strikes, even though you want to.
That's true. All right, your job is to come up with a question for the next guest.
A question for the next
Yep,
guest.
on the fly. You don't know who they are. That's part of the fun.
Wow. That's I guess maybe kind of similar along those lines. I would ask them the Back to the Future question, which is, you can go back in time, you change one moment, what would it be?
All right.
And understand that the butterfly effect is real and how that might affect everything else. But that's a fun question. I like that.
All right. One more thing and then we'll get out of here.
Okay.
If people want to find you, how do they find you? Because you're so active on social media.
That was sarcasm for anybody
A little bit.
that didn't detect that in
Little
my
bit.
cousin's voice as a halasa. So social media, I don't do that as much as I should.
Let's just focus on opening day. People,
Opening Day Apparel. The two best ways to reach me, it's kevin@openingdayapparel.net via email, or I put my cell number on everything. So that's 859-983-3401. You can call me on my cell phone, and unlike a lot of companies you'll work with, I'll actually answer my cell phone, and I will.
no hold music.
No hold music, and I tell people all the time, text me. If I don't answer, or if I'm on with another customer or something, you text me, I will answer. I will respond, and you'll get real direct attention from a real person, not just random people.
Awesome. Kevin, this has been fun, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.